The only breakfast show you can trust. The Mike Hosking Breakfast with the Range Rover Sport Obsidian Edition. Designed for impact. Newstalk ZB.
Morning, 7:07, so better late than never, I suppose. The government's now going to enter the military side of the equation to a degree in Ukraine. We're sending about 1,000 armour plates, 400 helmets, 500 vests. The irony being it's equipment the Army have already used and we're going to swap out anyway. International analyst at the Democracy Project, Jeffrey Miller's with us. Jeffrey, morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
I can't work out why they're ideologically opposed to all of this. What's their problem?
Well, I just think, Mike, there's been a real trend over the last few weeks for Western countries to fall in line with this wave of solidarity with Ukraine. And New Zealand has really come under pressure to do more. And we've seen already the sanctions. First of all, the government moved on that. And we saw the visas last week. And so now this is, the next step. But I do think it's a bit of a token contribution. I don't think anyone really thinks that 473 helmets, from New Zealand will really make much of a difference and shift the dial in the war. But, it's the symbolism of it all at the moment.
But this is what strikes me as so unusual, because normally symbolism rules the day when it comes to conflicts around the world. You take your side, you're either involved, you're not, you say the right thing, you have the meetings, you do all of the window dressing. This seems globally anyway to be different this time, and we're all in except for us, and we're not.
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand is, it's been sort of the opposite of hard and early, Mike, I guess you could say, on all of this. New Zealand has constantly followed other Western countries. Australia came out with a big announcement on Sunday, and so I think, New Zealand was under pressure to do a bit more because of that. Jacinda Ardern linked it to a call with the Prime Minister of Ukraine at the weekend. But I think, Mike, you also have to see this in the context of the free trade agreement that's being negotiated with the EU at the moment. And the EU ambassador appeared before the Foreign Affairs Select Committee last week, and she was surprisingly candid in really linking all of these issues together. She said the current situation is very much on everybody's mind, and it's very important to know that New Zealand is on our side in this conflict. Yeah. And we're negotiating these final stages of the free trade agreement with the EU, and it's clear that they do expect New Zealand to pull its weight.
Exactly, and I can't. And what we have now contributed, the 1,000 armour plates, the 400 help, and the 500 vests, fantastic. But it's all used stuff. There's nothing, and we don't have a huge military, but we could do more if we wanted to. It's all attitude, isn't it?
We could do more, and financially we're not contributing an awful lot, 11 million in total, and that includes humanitarian assistance. We did spend hundreds of millions of dollars in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We could do more. I think we should be doing more on the humanitarian front, and that should just be sent in cash. We're not willing to actually take in any refugees. The visas that were announced last week are work visas that require Ukrainians to already have family members here. If we're not going to take in more refugees, why aren't we sending $50 million, $100 million to the EU countries that are doing that work? Because there's just such a humanitarian crisis at the moment.
Exactly. Jeffrey, appreciate your time very much. Jeffrey Miller, who's the international analyst at the Democracy Project, 10 minutes past 7.
With Bailey's Real Estate, this is Newstalk ZB News.
Good morning. It's 7:30. I'm Neva Manu. New Zealand's latest contribution to Ukraine is being seen as a symbolic gesture. The government is giving another $5 million to shore up fuel supplies, rations and medical kits. The Defence Force is offering just over 1,000 body armour plates and around 500 each of helmets and camouflage vests. Democracy Project international analyst Jeffrey Miller told Mike Hosking New Zealand's been under pressure to do more. So far, that's meant sanctions on Russia and visas for Ukrainians wanting to escape.
Now, this is, the next step. But I do think it's a bit of a token contribution. I don't think anyone really thinks that 473 helmets from New Zealand will really make much of a difference and shift the dial in the war.
And Otago University international relations expert Robert Patman agrees we should seriously consider giving military aid to Ukraine. He says it's a similar country to New Zealand in terms of what we stand for, so it's important we show solidarity.
Radius Care. This is Newstalk ZB News.
Good morning. It's 8 o'clock. I'm Neva Manu. New Zealand's response to the conflict in Ukraine is being seen as the opposite of hard and early. The government's giving another $5 million to shore up fuel supplies, rations and medical kits. The Defence Force is offering just over 1,000 body armour plates and around 500 each of helmets and camouflage vests. Democracy Project international analyst Jeffrey Miller told Mike Hosking New Zealand has been following other Western countries, but the European Union ambassador expects us to pull our weight.
She was surprisingly candid in really linking all of these issues together. She said the current situation is very much on everybody's mind, and it's very important to know that New Zealand is on our side in this conflict.
And the ACT Party says New Zealand is out of step with its traditional allies and should show a united front. ACT leader David Seymour says New Zealand can't afford to be apart from the rest of the free world, which has been challenged in a Cold War-esque way. He says it's brutal and awful, and we need to start confronting it.
The Range Rover Sport Obsidian Edition. This is Newstalk ZB News.
Good morning, it's 8:30. I'm Neva Manu. The government's being told it could give more help to Ukraine if it wanted to. New Zealand is contributing another $5 million towards fuel supplies, rations and medical kits. The Defence Force is offering just over 1,000 body armour plates and around 500 each of helmets and camouflage vests. Democracy Project International analyst Jeffrey Miller told Mike Hosking, "We spent hundreds of millions in Iraq and Afghanistan.
If we're not going to take in more refugees, why aren't we sending $50 million, $100 million to the EU countries that are doing that work? Because there's just such a humanitarian crisis at the moment."
But the Foreign Affairs Minister is concerned sending lethal military aid could alter the way New Zealand is perceived. Nanaia Mahuta says the government continues to calibrate its response as the war goes on, and there's a potential for further escalation.